We've come. Sorry.
How can we not talk about family when family's all that we got? Everything I went through, you.
It's been a long day without you, my friend.
Shot down and he was barely 31. Another woke coward took a life with a gun. He left behind a wife and a daughter and a son. All he did was try to speak for all of us. And I'm so tired of the hatred and the narratives. The patriots ain't dangerous, woke people are the terrorists. They shot and killed the father, sent a message to Americans. They ain't gonna stop until they bury us. Dear Charlie, I don't know if you can see us now, but if heaven has a window, I sure hope you're looking down. Cause we ain't going quiet, we gon' scream your name loud. And you're gone, but I swear to God that we gon' make you proud. We ain't backing off or giving up, I'll preach what you taught me. They may have killed a soldier, but that man had an army. This is far more deep than some political parties. And you can't kill freedom, so this one is for Charlie. This ain't the America that all our parents love, but good men tried to keep making it great. Pray that God will take care of us, the system is failing us. When good men die for the things that they say, and I can't just be quiet. So I gotta be brave, cause this is America. Lately it's scaring us, but one good man can change it all in a day. Killed in cold blood for having a discussion, and liberals are celebrating murder like it's justice. You didn't kill a villain or the evil that it comes with. You killed a father and a husband. And I'm so tired of the left and all the wokery. We can't get along if you just kill us when we don't agree. Sniper rifle fire from a liberal that no one sees. Scared I might be next to die when I'm just buying groceries. Charlie, we'll make sure your children know that defending all our freedom is why you aren't coming home. I hope heaven has a window you can watch your children grow and hear your message echo from below. And we ain't backing off or giving up, I'll preach what you taught me. They may have killed a soldier, but that man had an army. This is far more deep than some political parties. And you can't kill freedom, so this one is for Charlie. This ain't the America that all our parents love, but good men try to keep making it great. Pray that God will take care of us, the system is failing us. When good men die for the things that they say, and I can't just be quiet. So I gotta be brave, cause this is America. Lately it's scaring us, but one good man can change it all in a day.
You're listening to Late Night Radio on the SHR Media Network. Caution, there will be mature themes explored and potentially adult language used. If conservatarian words, phrases, certain concepts, or rhetoric offends you, tune out now.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Left this lies and globalism pushing them back from the saloon to the airwaves. I'm spitting it raw. Constitution's my compass, liberty's law. Big guns creeping, shadows on the land. Feds with the schemes trying to bind up my hands, but I'm the Sherpa guiding through the storm. Red, white, and blue, yeah, freedom's reborn. tales, but I see through the haze. Media maggots, lost in the maze. I'm calling it out, no fear in my soul. This patriot's fire ain't losing control. Conservative Sherpa leading the fight. Torch in the dark, burning bright in the night. Stand for the truth, won't bow to the game. Sherpas, come and remember my name. Sherpas rising. Let this judge is twisting, trying to steal our rights, but I'm locked and loaded, got them in my sights. From J6 to the border, they're selling us out. I'm screaming from the mountain, hear my rainbow shout. They mock the flag, but I'm holding it high. Stars and stripes forever under God's open sky. No globalist chains gonna cage this land. I'm the Sherpa with the truth in my hand. They push their agenda, but I'm breaking the mold. Their promises empty, their hearts ice cold. Chicago's bleeding, borders torn apart. I'm fighting for the people with the warrior's heart. Conservative Sherpa leading the fight. Torch in the dark, burning bright in the night. Stand for the truth, won't bow to the game. Sherpas, come and remember my name. Sherpas rising. I've seen the storms, I've walked the line. 41 years, badge on the grind. Now I'm on the air, my voice like a blade, cutting through the lies that the traitors made. Hurricanes rage, but we're standing tall. Sheriffs of the Constitution answering the call. From the saloon to the heart of the fray, we're taking back America, no more delay. Conservative Sherpa leading the fight. Torch in the dark, burning bright in the night. Stand for the truth, won't bow to the game. Sherpas, come and remember my name. Sherpas rising. Static, hear my voice resound. Conservative Sherpa, freedom's battleground. Berserk, Bobcat, Rose will never kneel. For God and country, this fight is real.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, where I am broadcasting from North Idaho in an actual free state. I am this guy. I am your conservative Sherpa. Wait, do I have a banner for that? Well, I bet I do. I guide you through the insidious maelstrom of Democrat, leftist, and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, tyranny, and betrayal. That are me. It's only me. I almost didn't have a show tonight. And the reason for that is because my internet was kind of messing up, shall we say. And it's one of those things where you have to quench the fire, put it out, see if you can stoke it again, plug some things in, unplug some things over here. And about, a half hour before the show, I was thinking, God, I'm going to have to put out something indicating that, sorry, kids, no show tonight. And it came back. Things were able to work, which is a wonderful thing. I need to tell you what you're about to hear for the next hour and a half, maybe 2 hours if I have enough material. I think I probably do. Consists of my opinion and my opinion only. The other thing is that I was considering not doing this show because I was wondering, how long can you talk about a particular topic before people start to get tired of it? And I was hoping and counting on the fact that you're not tired of it yet. I'm not tired of it yet. All the things that customarily apply to the show, they are through here. UBG is in chat. Mike Pasqua is in chat. Mission Ready Men is in chat. Phantom is in chat. By the way, I attended, and I will refer to this later, Mission Ready Men's show this morning. And that was a wonderful thing to do. Now, I am not being carried live right now at KLRN. There will be a reblast of this tomorrow night. And I'm conflicted in a whole bunch of different ways. Do I do the show that I want to do? Or do I, and I decided immediately, no, don't even ask that question. Don't even ask the question. I will be honest, there's going to be a lot of from the heart kind of honesty here tonight. And then I'm going to have a lot of videos, as you would expect, and a lot of articles. And the theme of the show tonight is the consequences commence. And the tears have started to fall. I've already, as anyone who is on social media, if you're a conservative at this point, how many times have you already had to make some kind of an argument with a leftist or a Democrat or an individual of that nature? I have come up with a solution for that, which I will tell you about a little bit later. But like I say, I'm as conflicted today now, today being Tuesday, September the 16th, the year of our Lord 2025. I'm as conflicted today, almost an entire week after the political assassination of Charlie Kirk. I'm conflicted. I'm not. I'm conflicted. I'm not. Yeah, I am. No, I'm not. So the thing that I haven't said, admitted, I perhaps this needs to come out and I need to expunge myself in terms of an admission. Okay, I knew of Charlie Kirk. I had watched his videos now and then. And my first thoughts were, it's like, this dude is whip smart. He thinks on his feet like few others, and he can speak extemporaneously like few other people can. And the dude seems to have kind of an eidetic memory. That is almost a photographic memory of facts, information. If you noticed, his brain in many videos is working so fast that sometimes his mouth can't keep up with it all. But then following that Wednesday, I came to know a bunch of things about Charlie Kirk that call me an ignorant moron, whatever you wish. Don't call me late for dinner. But there were a ton of things that I absolutely did not know. I did not know that he had not been to college. I did not know that he was the proverbial autodidact like me in my earlier years. I was a crap student, but I learned about history in high school because I went through every history book in my high school library, and it was a great and voluminous library. I had no idea, for example, that he was 6'5". I had no idea that he had an absolutely immense following, bigger than immense. And then, bigger than that. In fact, it looked to me like maybe he couldn't have had that big a following because the videos I'd watched looked like no matter where he went, he was despised no matter where he went. So I thought, okay, so he's a nice guy. He's a nice guy. He's kind of a one-trick pony, but okay, I guess I get that. And further, I had heard of Turning Point USA. I'd seen some of their posts and, I'd seen some of it on TV. But I admit, I had never made the connection between Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA. Seriously. I'm being honest. I had no idea. And I'm also sufficiently honest to admit that for me, everything changed after 11:20 a.m. last Wednesday, September 10th. And it all changed for a guy that I had predominantly known nothing about. Until I did. And then I kind of discovered what kind of a man that Charlie Kirk was So since last week, my views have vacillated all over, and it's been kind of hellish to rein in my emotions, whatever they were. I think they're now kind of starting to come into perspective and into place. And as I first asked, what was that, last Thursday night in the show? How is it possible for you to hold a civil conversation and hold a civil society when Democrats and leftists say they simply want a conversation? Sure, let's converse. And then they try to cancel you and censor you or kill you for doing just what they ask. And I've concluded, absent some kind of weird deus ex machina, where these days, who knows what the hell is waiting in the wings, that there truly is no being able to communicate in any kind of a meaningful way or sense with the insane. And I think I've said it before in words similar to this, Senator. These evil fucks are insane. I don't think there's any way of getting around that. I also concluded then and now that this is fundamentally a matter of good versus evil. It gets down to that being the truth. I've said a whole bunch of times, I create these shows for me, and if for no other reason than to archive what's been happening out there, and that if other people enjoy it, the material, that's great. But I initially started the show for me, and I continue the show for me, and I use this as an archive and a repository for what's going on during the temper of the time. So this show is no different, okay? And like I said, first I was measured, and then I wasn't. And then I was completely into, damn it, I want to see veins between people's teeth mode. Maybe not so much, because I heard last night or the night before, there was a dude on TV and things, he kind of helped to put things into perspective a little bit, which is weird, because I heard an explanation by a guy named Terry Schappert, Schappert. Look him up on the internet. He's a veteran of the 82nd Airborne Special Forces, an operator who's been deployed in at least like 4 operations, and he continues to serve in the Army National Guard. Dude was a Green Beret. And I guess I'm pretty sure that he has all the brain theater modes to show about that as well. And one of the things that he was saying, where the hell was this? Might have been in Gutfeld, either last night or the night before, one of the two. He had Terry Schappert on. And Schappert said, you know what? We are not really in a civil war. We are not even really close to a civil war. And he mentioned, and I thought this was a really interesting and a good perspective. He said that his guys had spent their entire lives dealing with what he called high quality violence. And I don't doubt that for a second. And we're the guys, he was saying, we're the guys who are telling you, we don't want to do violence. And said, continuing on, Terry Schappert said, you know, we have to politically and economically absolutely smash them, meaning Democrats and leftists, push them to the side of society and go live your life. Say what you want. Well, we got to make sure that they have no juice in running our lives at any point, at any time. Well, of course, you would know that I had a little tete-a-tete earlier today or yesterday with a leftist, and I will read you what I said and what that weird ass thing said. So I'm rethinking things a little bit. I came up with a new BZ axiom. My new policy is if I feel sufficiently motivated, I will give one response to a leftist and then done. I'm done. Because as I said before, there's no damn arguing with the insane. There is no damn arguing with the insane, or in a number of cases, altogether too many, the criminally insane. So, of course, a leftist had to engage me, where I said on X that it was a phrase that Dan Bongino had used a number of times. I used to listen to his show when I could. And he said, cutesy time is over. So she or he or whatever the hell it was said, was J6 part of cutesy time? Was the people found guilty for trying to kidnap Governor Whitmer, or the person who killed Democrat Speaker of the House in Minnesota and her husband, who also shot another Democrat lawmaker and his wife, a part of this cutesy time? And so, as far as BZ was concerned, it was like a leftist, and like they've done before any number of times, it's like they went, open that door, I'm fucking walking through it. And he be go. So I couldn't leave that door open and unaddressed. So basically what I said is FBI entrapment is going to be what will be adjudged because of the thing with Whitmer, and it'll be overturned on appeal. So J6 protests, in which a few dumbasses went inside the Capitol for 2 hours, was stupid. Past gates and doors opened, however, by the U.S. Capitol Police, which resulted in 0 deaths, except for one unarmed white female shot by a moron USCP officer disciplined prior for lack of firearm safety. You also conveniently managed to omit the entire year of 2020, in which 25 plus, estimated up to 35 plus, people were killed. Multiple cities were looted, ransacked, razed to the damn ground. 10,000 plus officers injured in all of this. Businesses lost, burned, arson, riots, destruction of government and personal property. Easily over $2 billion worth of damage done over that period of time due to the the fentanyl OD of a black thug by police acting in accordance at that time to the general orders under which they were held. But I also said, you know what? You and I are absolutely unconvincible. I respond, here's what I do, and this is my policy now. I respond to leftist once, and truly, I feel zero interest in bipartisanship or compromise with Democrats and leftists. And so I said to he, she, it, them, they, this is your once. You are blessed by my even responding. God still loves you. I don't. Oddly enough, here was the response. And I hope you guys are sitting down right now, because this is going to shock you. The reply that I received was it was an ad hominem attack. Not a word, not one word, naturally, to refute what it was that I'd written. Damn me. So, also on, again, I think it was gut-filled. Besides Terry Shepard, this Army Green Beret dude, there was a comedian on who I'd never heard of this guy before, ever. The guy's name was Dave Landau. And once he said this, I rewound the TiVo thing, and he said, I never thought I'd see a day where I'd have to say murder is bad. What side are you on? And then, like a buzzsaw, he honed in. And he said, this is a sect, a cohort of kids and people who've been poisoned by 6 years on the internet. You look at their age, they went during that time from like 12 to 18. All they've been raised on is online, Reddit, and being told what to do. There's not one original thought. They've killed their reproductive organs. They all have shitty tattoos, ugly haircuts, septum earrings, and they are all carbon copies of themselves. And they all believe the same thing, the exact same thing. It's the death of art and it's the death of culture. And I thought, oh, if I don't tell everybody tonight about what he said, I mean, this dude for a comedian, yeah, that wasn't funny at all. That was spot damn on is what that was. So, like I normally do on Tuesdays, I schedule myself to get up early in the morning, early for me. Okay. I listened to 2 podcasts this morning, the ones I customarily attend on Tuesday. And what I do, I listen to their podcasts on Tuesdays and Thursdays because generally what I'm doing is I'm attempting to assemble my show for later that night. And it was first Rick Robinson from KLRN and then Earl Jackson from Mission Ready Men. They are both reverent men. They are both Christians, and they are first to admit they are infinitely better men than I will ever be. And I have to say, you know, I thought I've called myself a Christian at times, and I wear a cross to kind of try to remind myself of this. And occasionally, you know, I still vacillate back and forth. I'm not so sure anymore because my thoughts are not the kind of thoughts customarily aligned with Christendom. I have really tried to bring myself back. You have not yet heard me scream. And there have been any number of podcasters who have done exactly that. And for an excellent reason. Excellent reason. So I said this last week, picked up, you know, by a few other souls. And I still wonder, now that I've gotten to know Charlie Kirk more in death than in life, which is just bizarre to me. I said, how is it that God can take a Charlie Kirk, a 31-year-old guy, an actual Christian? I described him as he's a whip-smart guy, arguing on behalf of pretty much everything that is good in life. How can God take such an enormous soul and leave a piece of trash like me behind? Because that confused me, and that confused Rick Robinson. You know, I've been the first to say any number of times, I'm not a good man. I admit it openly. Here I am, 75 years old, 76 next month, frequently a rotten bastard, unforgiving, a sinner, and I still breathe air. So my mind flashed to this. I better wrap it up because I got a break coming. My mind flashed to this. After Charlie Kirk, I think the logical question to ask is, okay, after Charlie Kirk, who's next? I may have that answer when I come back. Anyway, I'm BZ. Thanks for being here tonight. I grandly appreciate your attendance. And let's do this.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Mission log. Entry. I mean, let's face it, who's even counting anymore? The Lost Wanderer is officially off course, chasing rogue rocket launches, fringe science, and things that probably violate causality. If it burns fuel, bends time, or makes scientists very uncomfortable, yeah, I'm probably going to talk about it. Every other Sunday on KLRN Radio, The Lost Wanderer, because space doesn't come with a roadmap, and honestly, I wouldn't follow if it did.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Hey fellas, are you mission ready? You need to check out Mission Ready Men via Earl Big E Jackson on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central, and noon Eastern. It's a show that equips you to navigate our society's challenges from a biblical perspective with courage and conviction. Tune into Mission Ready Men as we examine our culture through the prism of biblical truths, teachings, and how to apply them in our daily lives. Prepare to step up, stand out, and step into your role as a man as ordained by God. That's Mission Ready Men, hosted by Earl Jackson on the SHR Media Network. And get mission ready.
Want to make an immediate difference in the life of a critically ill child? You have the ability to do that right now. Make a donation to Dream Makers for Life, the organization that restores dreams to seriously ill children and their families. You can sponsor a dream pack for a child, which contains a clear PVC backpack, a dry erase board adventure coloring book, a journal, and dry erase markers to inspire a critically ill child to envision a future adventure and hope. Want to become a dream maker for life yourself? Go to dreamforlife.org. That's dreamforlife.org. Help a child. Help a family. There is always hope.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And I'm back. The first half hour is gone. Tonight, the topic essentially is Charlie Kirk. I agonized over this. Do people really want to hear more stuff about Charlie Kirk? Moreover, do people want to hear anything about me weighing in on Charlie Kirk when I admitted I didn't know the guy? I only got to know him following his passing. But I said, basically, leftists are insane. Now, I want to play something for you, and I'm being really honest. I'm being weirdly honest tonight. I'm going to play a video. It's not that long, maybe a minute and a half, something like that. And it's unusual. And at the conclusion of this, hell, halfway through it, I started to get some serious allergies, which is why when I play it, I'm going to take myself off the screen. This was an astounding tribute that I did not see coming at all. And it's abso-damn-lutely incredible. I didn't see that coming. I didn't see a haka from the Maore coming. I don't know. That sucker tweaked my soul. And before the break, well, first, let me catch up with some of the comments right here. Ricky Robinson is in chat. Comic Artist is responding. And if you're referring to the video, shit, yes, that was awesome. Incredible. And I also have another video at the very end that I'm going to play for everybody that I'm pretty sure that nobody has seen again. And the one that I played last Thursday night and wrapped things up with was pretty amazing. I'm going to play that one again because, well, who could know about those things? The tributes came in from places I had never anticipated. Before the break, I said, you know what? Who's next on the list? And I thought, God, don't say it. Just don't say it. Because we're at the point in the United States these days where it's like some of the things that we talk about and say become almost self-realizing. And as I said before in the first half hour, I really didn't know who Charlie Kirk was. I only began to understand a little bit about him after his passing. And so the odd thing is, I knew more about Scott Presler than Charlie Kirk. I knew Scott Presler was pretty much single-handedly responsible for turning the entire swing state of Pennsylvania over to Donald Trump, because that was expected to go the other way. That was expected to go blue. It had been in the past. So instead, Scott Presler, as far as I can tell, essentially almost single-handedly pushed Pennsylvania over for Donald John Trump, OMB, Orange Man Bad, the guy with the dead orange cat on his head. And then, like I said, Charlie Kirk had never really been in my sphere. I knew more about Scott Presler. What I didn't know, and what I subsequently discovered, is how Charlie Kirk may have been responsible for turning the election for President Trump entirely. And so I shake my head. Almost a week later, 6 days later, I'm still wrestling with all this in my brain. I fluctuate up and down. Charlie Kirk was a guy. This is all he did. He spoke. He said words. He attacked nobody. He raised his hand to no one. Yet, because there were frequently no cogent counter arguments to what he was saying, to his position, he was subjected to numerous threats and physical attacks, and now an outright political assassination because he said words. So, logical thinking human beings have to say, okay, well, somebody else is next. Does anyone think that this shit is going to stop here, now, today? I'm going to play you some disgusting videos because I'm going to archive and immure these things. If not for you, then for me. And by the way, if for whatever reason you see a video or you see an article and you want to know, hey, where'd that come from? What's, I don't believe BZ, so let's see the receipts. At the end of this show on my Rumble channel on BZ's Saloon, you can go back there and you can see I list all the receipts. I put up the show links. Anything that you see here tonight, you can find there later on my show links. And so I looked long and hard to try to find a video that I was going to play about a week and a half or 2 weeks ago. And so if you guys happen to come across this, can you ship it to me? Okay. And no, because no better was this displayed than in a video I planned to use on the show, but it's gone. It vanished. I don't know where. So like I say, if you guys find it, ship it to me somehow on social media or whatnot. Best maybe on X. Okay. This was a guy, maybe you'll remember it. This is a guy wearing a billboard on the street, might have been a college campus, don't know, with some kind of a conservative message on it. And a thin chick comes over in the video from the right and begins to argue with him. Okay. She loses the argument. She knows it. She realizes it. So the next thing she does is physically attack him. And then the video ends. So what happened to Charlie Kirk is the exact same damn thing, only with the largest, worst scale possible. Do I think that if she'd had a gun, she would have shot him? It's not entirely impossible. We've seen it before and we'll see it again. It's absolutely true. And that's why I go back to one of my consistent themes is these people are insane. They don't care about you. They don't care about kids. They don't care about families. They don't care about anything. Just violence. Which is why I say they're just like muzzies. Conform, you infidel, or we'll kill you. It's as simple as that. I can't craft it or frame it any more fundamentally than that. That said, however, what I concluded is, you know what? I got no damn problem calling balls and strikes in the good versus evil venue. And I go back to this. I've seen evil. In my 41 plus years in law enforcement, I've seen it, I've heard it, I've smelled it, I've booked it, I've arrested it. Evil exists. I've looked it in the face hundreds and hundreds of times. It shot at me 4 times, tried numerous times to kill me. I even killed it once. So I am quite intimately familiar with good versus evil. So I can only conclude these days that lines have to be drawn. We have to draw lines. They absolutely have to be drawn. And I don't believe, you tell me if you think I'm wrong, I don't think we can ever go back. We can never go back. That's one thing of which I'm fairly certain. This nation is never going back to basically its innocence or its ignorance, except on one side of the aisle, so to speak, and some other people that sadly are on the Republican side of the aisle. Because now with technology, you know, you can tune in to evil and watch it work on live TV and the internet. And I submit to you tonight, there is no shoving that fucking Satan back in the bottle ever again. Not going to happen. Not at least while I'm alive. Perhaps not even while you guys are alive. Just in the past 3 years, comic artist is here also. Thank you. And Sean Lewis is here from Edge of Liberty. Thank you. So I made a list of this is a partial list that I could figure stuff out. And no, I didn't go to Chat GPT because mostly I don't know how to work all that stuff like you guys do. So this is some of the stuff that I could find in terms of politically motivated violence. June 2022, I'm going to have to look at it. It's written over here and I'm going to have to read it. June 2022, an armed suspect at Justice Brett Kavanaugh's house. Then July 2022, then New York Representative Lee Zeldin was attacked at a rally. October 2022, Paul Pelosi was attacked by a guy with a hammer in his own house. That's a story in and of itself. February 2022, Louisville, or as they say in Kentucky, Louisville, mayoral candidate Craig Greenberg was shot by Quintez Brown. Because it's important to leftists, I'll delineate this. Brown was black, Greenberg was white. Are you happy now? I mentioned race. Brown received 17 years. July 2024, Trump assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania by a 20-year-old dude named Thomas Crooks. And still a lot of that doesn't pass, really, the smell test with regard to that. September 2024, the second Trump assassination attempt in Florida by a guy named Ryan Ruth, whatever the fuck, I don't care. 59, the guy is currently on trial, and he's a nutball. Luckily, he's not going for the nutball. I don't think he's going for the nutball shindig on that. Well, maybe you guys can tell me. Then here's another one. This was extremely conclusive because it occurred again today in reference to this guy. So December 2024, last year, United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson was shot and killed in New York City by a guy named Luigi Mangione, who was 27. Well, today, it turns out that a black-robed, leftist, anarchist piece of shit judge decided to take the terror and the first-degree murder off the table. I've said this on any number of occasions. How do you get first degree? You get first degree murder with malice aforethought. How do you prove malice aforethought? You prove it with planning, with detail, that sort of thing. The exact same thing that's going to be slapped onto Tyler, whatever the hell, because his name is immaterial. But this judge took it off the table, even though it's clear and obvious to any clear, free-thinking individual that Mangione planned incredibly long and hard, had to make sure that he was in the right spot at the right time to walk up behind the guy and shoot him in the head, who never saw it coming, who never knew it coming. It was coming. Then, if you remember, there was early 2025, the continuous series of protests and arsons and fireworks and all that kind of crap in the anti-Doge and the Tesla protests. Okay. Then March 2025, the firebombing of the New Mexico GOP headquarters. I can't imagine why anybody did that. April 2025, and the leftists and the Democrats are still lying about this. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro's home was firebombed by a pro-Palestinian leftist. Oh no, BZ, he was a guy on the right. Bull. I'm trying to be so much better. Sometimes I'm failing, sometimes not so much. Then what else did we have in May 2025 this year? Capitol Jewish Museum shooting. That shooting occurred, killing Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram, both Jews. I can't possibly envision what that motivation may have been. Do you? Can you? No, of course not. Let me consider and continue with my notes here of all the violent shit. June 2025, Minnesota Speaker Emerita Hortman and her husband Mark Hortman were shot in their home by Vance Bolter, whatever, a Democrat. Oh, no, BZ. No, he was a Trumper. Again, bull. June 2025, Minnesota State Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette were shot in their house by Bolter, a Democrat. June 2025, attempted kidnapping of Memphis Mayor Paul Young by Trenton Abston, 25. And because color is so important to you leftists, he was black. August 2025, the Minneapolis Catholic Church shooting in which two children were killed as the shooter shot into a plate glass window, 21 injured by a tranny. Great. And then September 10th, Charlie Kirk was assassinated. So I come from a long history of leftists and leftist violence. See, in my time, in 1970s copdom, leftists were the political purveyors of all that crap. Like, remember these lovely groups? How about SDS, Students for a Democratic Society, SLA, the Symbionese Liberation Army, the BLA, Black Liberation Army, the Weather Underground, the Black Panthers. They were all predominantly in the Bay Area while I was in Sacramento. I can remember SAC PD going, and I was on the outskirts waiting to see if we needed to come in to who was arresting a Black Panther in downtown Sacramento because the guy was found on a roof. Roof. That's what my dog says. And I grew up at the time because I wanted to work for SFPD. Jesus, before I came to my senses. Bay Area police stations were firebombed during this time. And before you moved your car, when our cars were not underground, our cars were outside, you'd check underneath and in the wheel wells to make sure that you didn't have something what we could now call an IED shoved under or taped to the wheel well or taped to the chassis. And that's the kind of crap that I grew up on as a baby cop. So what we know about this version of evil techno 2.0, is that Democrats, leftists, and the American media maggots can ill afford to grant. They are not going to grant or exceed a molecule, one molecule of responsibility. They can grant no win, no compromise, even as with regards to the assassination, the political assassination of Charlie Kirk, a civilian, a citizen, a man of faith. See, because if they were to budge an inch, a half inch on that just one thin mint, they realize that the entire narrative would be subject to cracking, just the slightest crack. And they will never allow that to occur. So they have to fight everything all the time. Sounds like an Eagles song, but it's true. This was political terrorism, with the intent being to lay two bodies in the ground, President Trump and Charlie Kirk. So what's the definition, the legal definition of terrorism that the judge decided to take off the table? Because what Mangione did was the fucking definition of terrorism. The unlawful use of violence and intimidation, especially against civilians in the pursuit of political aims. It can't get more clear and obvious than that. And yet a leftist judge took that off the table because he could. So, you have to ask yourself logically, I'm sure, aren't you, that there's more of this crap just waiting in the wings. And that's not even taking into account the rest of the domestic threats that we've been looking at for some time and that we're facing right now currently and will be facing in the future, like from illegal invaders to Muslims to the takeovers of cities. And one of the major purposes of the assassination of Charlie Kirk, because I think this kid said in some of the emails and whatnot that, yeah, he was saying bad things and he couldn't be allowed to speak any longer. So I took him out. But the purpose of assassinating Charlie Kirk was to chill the pushback, to kill free speech, to limit its reach, to keep conservatives from having the courage to continue to speak out, uncensored by leftists, in opposition to leftist doctrine and propaganda, and to push people indoors. Okay, well, no, Ben Shapiro said he's going to go out and he's going to take the mantle and he will continue to do shit outdoors. Okay, that's Ben Shapiro. Guess what? That's also occurring. I've heard two significant podcasters and conservatives on podcasts and shows specifically say they won't be doing live shows anymore. Hey, mission accomplished. One of them is Dana Lash. I can't remember the name of the other one right now, but I saw it yesterday. The other thing that I want to mention before I get into the videos and some of the indicators that leftists are insane, because, who would need proof of that? The time to draw lines is here. And the time to draw lines is everywhere. Everywhere. And most deaf in churches. Those people behind the pulpit in their sermons. So if your church leader, whoever he is, isn't willing to call balls and strikes in the fight of good versus evil, then it's time to depopulate your church. This isn't the time for cowards and simps and wimps. It's the time to draw lines. It isn't the time for cowardice at all. You need to get the congregants in that church, and you all know who they are and where they are and to which churches they apply. You need to get those congregants to get out. Leave. find a new place. Leave that one to go ahead and rot of its own accord from within, because the disease is inside and it's behind that pulpit. Okay. I'm going to get to some, I swear I'm going to get to some articles and videos, because, the consequences are in fact commencing, and it's kind of like a woohoo kind of thing. I recently wrote, and I'm going to mention it again here, especially with regard to me, is the prime directive for most people, particularly us old asshores, is that we just want to be left alone. Okay. We want it simpler. We want it quieter. You go do your stupid shit over there. Okay. Way over there. Yeah. Over that hill, over that rise. Yeah. Further, until I can't see your stupid ass anymore. But now, after you've tried to not just badmouth us, label us, lock us up, but kill us, kill our kids, kill our grandkids, be advised, you just may be able to entice us to play those reindeer games. Maybe. I don't know yet. I'll go with Shepard for right now. But if we decide to play, and it comes to that point, I should care to remind people that we're old. That means we're cranky. That means we're in pain. And guaranteed, we're not going to be playing by the Queen, the Marquess of Queensberry rules, or the Geneva Convention, for that matter. As I said on another post, I think it was last week, I said, I could be Charlie Kirk. You actually ended up killing the nicest one of us. So I could be Charlie Kirk, but come near me and I could be John Wick. You'll never know. And now, okay, so let us away with the rest of the show, in which I illustrate with, I hope, great clarity, using some of the finest American-made charts and graphs and letters and reports and articles and all sorts. The fact that I don't have to make any of this stuff up. It's right here for everybody to see. And I want to put this up right now, because this is where we're starting. How do you reason with anyone, not just this individual? How do you reason with anybody who has that kind of a mindset? If you're a man who has a relationship with a trans woman, you are in a heterosexual relationship. How? That's where we're supposed to begin the conversation. Like that. That's where we start. You can't argue with an idiot or the insane.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
In a world where leftists are running out of metal for the safety pins of their soothing red diapers, one man stands alone, attempting to fundamentally change America, one leftist diaper at a time. BZ, your conservative Sherpa, is guiding you through the maelstrom of Democrat leftists and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. Listen to BZ Saloon on select and exclusive Tuesday and Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Central, and 11 p.m. Eastern on the SHR Media YouTube channel, Twitch, KLRN, Rumble, and X at BZ Saloon. It's one great late-night conservatarian talk radio show. Be there. Aloha.
Hello, friends. You have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name is Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRN Radio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at klrnradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRN Radio.
It's Sean from the Edge of Liberty. Just like the Bidens, I too am moving. Only in my case, it's days and times. That's right. You can now find the Edge of Liberty Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern, and Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on 11 Eastern on the SHR Media Network. Join me as we talk politics, news, alcohol, fun, not so much fun, clowns, small kittens, large kittens, dogs, amoebas, and anything else that just pops into my mind while I'm on the air. That is Monday and Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast, on YouTube, X, KLRN Radio, Facebook, Twitch, and anywhere else a good podcast is found. Please check out our website, shrmedia.com. I will see you live on the air.
Attention, all patriotic women of faith. Yep, I'm talking to you, sis. Are you looking for high quality, super soft apparel that reflects your love for country and your devotion to God? Look no further than Carry Girl Gear. Picture this. You rocking a tee so soft it's like being hugged by a cloud, all while showing off your love for God and country. Sounds dreamy, right? Well, welcome to reality, babes, because that's what we're all about here at Carry Girl Gear. We specialize in super soft tees, tanks, and more, designed specifically for the strong, patriotic women who proudly wants to carry their message of faith and freedom. When you shop with us, you're not just getting a t-shirt. You're joining a community of like-minded women who are proud to wear their beliefs straight on their tees. So whether you're sipping sweet tea on the porch or leading the charge for faith and freedom, do it in a Carry Girl tee. Because life's too short for stiff, boring tees. CarryGirl.com, where faith and freedom meets fashion.
Independence. With that declaration, America was born. Inspired by a belief in the God-given rights of every human being, and in the good that comes from exercising these rights well. The founders of our great nation chose independence. As do we. Hillsdale College accepts no government funding because independence makes possible the good to which we aspire.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And I'm back. It's the beginning of hour 2. Speaking of hour 2, it's 9:04 p.m. on the far left coast. I'm not on the far left coast anymore. I'm in Idaho. As I first said when I first got here, I'm living in Idaho. I'm living in Nofe, N-O-F-E, Idaho. And that's where I be. Shit. So thanks to everybody for being here tonight and for watching, and also for watching later in podcast. KLRN has a whole bunch of stuff that it's playing right now, but with luck and another wooden nickel, KLRN will deign to be able to give me a reheat, so to speak, tomorrow night. So always make sure that you watch KLRN. As a matter of fact, watch KLRN. And all the good SHR Media shows that you are notorious for following. Before we hit on the break, I mentioned this. How do you reason with somebody like that? And the answer is, well, you damn well can't. How do you reason with somebody like this? There's a podcaster out there named Destiny, whose real name apparently is Stephen Benil. And he's calling for conservatives to be killed. So specifically that they will be afraid to attend events or speak out. Wow, didn't see that coming, did I? And I'm torn. I was torn. Like I say, if I call myself a Christian, I'm a bad Christian. This guy was not. And I was doing my very level best not to make a comparison, but I thought, okay, well, it's my show. I get to do it if I want to. and then you have to think of all about everything that happened to this girl in Charlottesville. That was complete. All the air and the oxygen was completely pulled out. And yet that's where she is. And I tried not to go here, but I can't help but wonder, do we put Charlie Kirk in this category, or am I just a nut job? Well, I hope I'm not. I hope I'm not a nut job. And there are consequences that are coming. Here's a Florida sheriff who's saying what everybody in law enforcement should be saying, but they're not. And I have some egregious examples of people that do not belong in law enforcement.
I'm very thankful for my family members as you look around, because peacefully gathering and safety and security is number one. I sit back and think about yesterday's events, and it sickens me. It sickens me. This is not about what party you are for. This is not about being a Republican, a Democrat. This is about being a human being. This is about a life, human life, and how much evil there is in the world that we combat every single day. There's no place and no room for that violence, not in politics, not in anywhere. I sit here with a heavy heart. I look around and I say, you know what? I'm so blessed to be with so many amazing people that get together, especially, today being 9/11, and I'm from New York, and losing so many of my friends. And
that's what a real law enforcement officer should be saying. But did we have that all along the line? No, we didn't. I'll get to that in just a moment. And this is, well, I'll just let him speak for himself. Charlie Kirk was killed because he spoke.
Over the past 24 hours, I've seen some in the media, some of the very same people who intentionally stoked murderous hatred against people like Charlie Kirk, and Charlie Kirk specifically, now saying that we need to turn down the temperature and start having conversations. Well, Charlie tried to have conversations with you on the left, and you killed him for it. You're killing us in our churches. You tried to kill our president. You killed one of our greatest advocates in Charlie Kirk. You have been openly cheering for and celebrating and encouraging and committing political violence for years. Antifa, BLM, well-funded, highly orchestrated, widespread movements based in and fueled by violence. You made a hero out of Luigi Mangione. And you celebrate Charlie's death even now. It's too late to turn the temperature down.
Okay, stop right there. Jeremy Hansen asks in chat, am I the only guy that keeps going through emotional mood swings since Charlie Kirk was assassinated? That was my entire first half hour. No, you are not. I didn't see this coming. I didn't know Charlie Kirk. I only knew him after death. I hope I'm a better man for it. But even trying to assemble the show tonight, I'm just up and down. So no. You're not the only one, Jeremy.
This is not a time to hold hands. It's a time for justice. This is a time for good to fight back against evil. It is time for the righteous to prevail for the sake of our country and for our families and our children and for Charlie.
We know why. We know most of the reasons why. You're going to have to turn, some people have decided not to play this. I'm going to play the whole damn thing. It's about 4 minutes because you need to hear it. But this is the only one that I could find that had any halfway decent volume. And on your end, I'm just going to pre-warn you, I've got the volume up as far as I can push it over here. I'm going to look over here. Yes, I have the volume up as far as I can push it. You need to hear this. Greg Gutfeld, Jessica Tarloff. What the hell?
Yes, we don't need it. What is interesting here is why is only this happening on the left and not the right? That's all we need to know.
What about
There's
Vance
absolutely
Spencer?
no cognitive.
What about Melissa Hortman that we just
okay, you want to talk about Melissa Hortman? Did you know her name before it happened? None of us did. None of us were spending every single day talking about Mrs. Hortman. I never heard of her until after she died.
She doesn't matter?
Don't play that
Jesus.
bullshit with me. You know what I'm saying is there was no demonization, amplification about that woman before she died. It was a specific crime against her by somebody who knew her. The same. Now you could bring up Josh Shapiro, but then you will not bring up, for example, that was a pro-Palestine person. So don't use your what about this? The fact of the matter is the both sides argument not only doesn't fly. We don't care.
Thank you.
We don't care about your both sides argument. That shit is dead. For one thing, there is no cognitive dissonance on our side. On your side, your beliefs do not match reality. So you're coming up with these rationalizations like, what about this? Or what about that? We're not doing that because we saw it happen. We saw a young, bright man assassinated, and we know who did it. We are not coming up with rationalizations. We are calm, we are honest, and we are resolute. We're not defensive, and I understand the defensiveness. I understand why people are saying, what about this and what about this? Because if you have to face the underlying fact to this, your life is going to fall apart because you're going to realize you're not the good guys. If you sat around and you defended the mutilation of children, you're not the good guys. If you sat 600, 700 cases of harassment against Republicans and you said, but what about this? What about this? And then you see this murder after calling somebody a fascist, you realize maybe I'm not the good guy. That is a hell of a realization to deal with. So Therefore, you have to grasp at rationalizations. You don't have to do that, Jessica. They do. I don't believe you're part of that group, but why the hell do you have to mimic and echo that crap to us? He was a patsy. That guy was a patsy. He was under the hypnotic spell of a direct-to-consumer nihilism, the trans cult, and you know that. If you can decide that biology is false, you can agree that murder is okay and that humanity is expendable. How you cannot see that?
See, if you buy off on part of it, you're going to buy off on the rest of it. And that's the absolute corruptive nature of Democrats and leftists.
Alone and see that for what the evil it is without having to attach all of these other things is beyond me.
I just want to be clear. I want to let people speak. I in no way intended at all to minimize what happened to Charlie.
Okay, today my jurisdiction ends here because I cannot stand the sight of her. I cannot stand to hear her voice. But I wanted to make sure that you saw and heard what it was that Greg Gutfeld said. And Greg could get away with it because he's one of the biggest moneymakers on Fox News right now. He's kicking the ass of all the late night hosts at this point, one of whom is already gone. The other two, I believe, will not be here, I posit, by the way of 2026. Here's something interesting also. Leftists still rule a roost in terms of, hey, remember Charlie Kirk Murders .com or .org? Well, they took that down. Then there was another one, the Charlie Kirk Data Foundation. Here it is. Guess what isn't here anymore? That's right. This site can't be reached. Check to see if there's a typo in charliekirkdata.org. Funny thing is, no, there is no typo. That's how shit works these days. Here's the other thing that I can remember distinctly. Just a few days ago, arguing with another leftist, And he said, I alleged this. And I think I used Breitbart initially. And he said, ha ha, Breitbart, what a laughing crap. You're nothing but, where's your terrible, terrible. Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin, Tyler Robinson, lived with a transgender partner. So how many of us said at the point, I'll take trannies for 500, wink, stick up your hands? I kind of saw that coming, but I wasn't sure. Let's go back to the chat. They killed 2 kids in a school. Yes, absolutely so. And yes, Gutfeld was, in fact, the takedown was glorious. The palate cleanse we all need. Oh, hell yeah. Then there was the old man. Sean brings an interesting point up. I don't have the time to bring up the article right now, but you guys can look at it. And if I remember at the conclusion of the show, I'll put that article up because I'll go back and look at the link in the show and I'll put it up on Rumble. This is what I was trying to get to. Tarloff isn't awful. Now, I call them insane leftist white chicks. There's no real good acronym for that. You know, awful is a hell of a lot better. Angry white female liberal. And so I think I'm caught up on that stuff. Let's go here. But I don't know if you guys were aware of this. You know, have we been seeing a trend, BZ? Yes, we've been seeing a trend. What the hell is going on in Utah? You guys remember this? Mia Bailey, which is a guy. It's not a chick. It's a dude with a dick. Slayed his parents last year and was arrested in St. George, just minutes from Charlie Kirk's assassin, Tyler Robinson, home with his tranny boyfriend. Well, Tyler and that unit, that guy, you know, I don't know how to quantify those things other than they are 2 sick fucks. And per se, tranny units are the largest, most dangerous contingent of leftists on this planet per capita. There's just a wee bit of them, and almost all of those shit sticks are violent. Oh, BZ, that's such a terrible thing to say. Well, it happens to be the truth. Then there's this. Could you guys have done that? I'm the first to admit, I don't have kids. I've told you that story. My nards got derezzed years ago. Matt Robinson, Charlie Kirk's, the father of the kid, turned him in. If you're a dad, could you have done that? And I know a lot of dads who have already said, because I keep my ears open, I could never do that. How could you do that to your son? He's your flesh. Okay. Well, further, what about that? What about this? Could you have done this? This is amazing. Tyler Robinson's father rejects $1 million support for his son and gives everything to Charlie Kirk's family. Holy crap. Now I know what kind of a father that is. And that's absolutely what a sterling individual. Whiskey Dale is in chat. Thank you very much for being here. And Mission Ready Men, yeah. If you have a good father, that's what happens. And that's Jersey Joe. That's the question right there. How could a son have done that to his family? The guy's as stand up as it gets. He'd have beat me to the point he would have gone in the cell next to me. The dad also turned down a $100,000 reward from the FBI. Absolutely astounding. You want to see astounding? You want to hear astounding? You want to see and smell what astounding sounds like? Listen.
We have seen an alleged murder with such specific text messages about the alleged murder weapon, where it was hidden, how it was placed, what was on it, but also it was very touching in a way that I think many of us didn't expect. A very intimate portrait into this relationship between the suspect.
Okay, let me stop right here. Inside baseball. I had to watch this video 4 times before I was sufficiently desensitized that I wouldn't go 210 over 190. This is the 5th time now that I've watched this video so that I can keep just sort of a sinister Mayan, M-I-E-N, or mean, and let it drop at that point. Continue.
Roommate and the suspect himself, with him repeatedly calling his roommate who is transitioning, calling him my love, and I want to protect you, my love. So it was this duality of someone who the attorney said not only jeopardized the life of Charlie Kirk and the crowd, but was doing it in front of children, which is one of the aggravating circumstances of this case.
But see, that's not what this guy believes. This guy believes that the real victim here is the shooter. He's the victim. How? This is where we are in 2025 with regard to the American media maggots. I want to make sure that I get this attribution correct. I think I do. If I'm wrong, somebody will let me know in chat. But I'm pretty sure that it was Earl Big E Jackson who said any number of times on Mission Ready Men, you can't hate the media enough. Bingo. I mean, even that deserves this. You can't hate the American media maggots enough, because that's who they are. Let us continue. Oh, wait. How can I not have included this guy? What a wonderful human being.
None of these MAGA influencers who claim to be so concerned about political violence actually care, because not one of them spoke about Melissa Hortman and her husband.
Neither did you, Harry. You didn't post about it.
Thank you.
Not a single time on the day it happened, nor the 2 weeks after. You were dead silent about this for almost a month. So what the fuck are you talking about? You had no problem in your video talking about how Benny Johnson didn't talk about it. Even though he did, you accused Nick Sorter of not talking about it. You accused me of not talking about it. You went after Dave Rubin, Ben Shapiro. And the whole time, you didn't talk about it. You didn't even fucking mention it. In fact, the only time you did bring up anything to do with Melissa Hortman was on June 27th and June 28th, where you didn't post about her murder. No, you made posts congratulating Joe Biden for going to her funeral. Like, think about that, Harry. The first time you ever posted about Melissa Hortman was not only 2 weeks after she was murdered, but you didn't even talk about her or her husband. You just talked about how amazing it was that Biden was at her funeral. Brother, you have to realize that if you're going to accuse people of doing something, make sure you didn't do it yourself first.
Thank you. Again, American media maggots, Democrats, leftists, etc. I'm still kind of sort of getting to the good part. The unbelievable part. So leftists, in their infinite wisdom, because this is all they do, all Democrats and leftists know how to do is annihilate. Said it before, we'll continue to say, Democrats and leftists destroy everything they touch. A good Nazi is a dead Nazi. And you can all say along with me, yeah, of course, disgusting and vile, because that's their nature. Here's Charlie Kirk's nature. It's way up at the top. And for those of you who are just listening in podcast and you're not watching, I'll read it for you. This is from Charlie Kirk, November 27th, 2016. Prescience, anyone. You can tell a lot about a person by how they react when someone dies. Huh, Charlie Kirk? And then there's this. Okay. I had to read this story. It took, I'll admit, I got 3 more minutes before the bottom of the hour break. I may be going into overtime. Some of you may be here for it. Some of you may not. I'm going to be here for it, for me. This show took me all late last night and all of today to put together. If for no other reason than I had to vent, I had to read these things, and I'm sure when you do a presentation, you professionally or to other people, sometimes you have to read things so many times. You know, it's called cold reading. Radio has cold reading, and ideally, you shouldn't be doing cold reading. Well, I couldn't afford to cold read this stuff. I had to read all of these things that I set up in this order chronologically to make sure that I didn't go off the deep end. This is kind of unusual for me because sometimes I cold read things, not as much as I shouldn't cold read things. I do some, but I had to read everything that was in here. I had to read every article that was in here. I had to go through the videos, and the next story that I'm going to put up is a story that I had to read numerous times. It comes from, Earl Jackson was in law enforcement. Sean Lewis was in law enforcement. Rick may be still here or maybe not. He was in law enforcement. I was in law enforcement for a long time. And still these days when I see stories like this, I keep thinking, where do you find these negative assholes like this? How can you be a Secret Service agent? How can you keep employing people like this? How did you not see this person doing a background? This person doesn't belong anywhere near a firearm, but wait, it only gets worse, right? Because then there's this story. Is this law enforcement? Well, yes. As a matter of fact, GOP erupts on Democrat running for attorney general in a red state over profanity-laced Charlie Kirk post. Okay. Well, read that again. A Democrat running to be the top law enforcement officer. Did I just say a Bastin? Law. I can't do that. A Democrat running to be the top law enforcement officer in the state of Ohio is facing backlash. There's a shock for a series of social media posts disparaging Charlie Kirk in the days after the conservative activist was assassinated. And here's the quote for the person running for attorney general. No bias. Fuck Charlie Kirk, said Elliot Foran, Forhan, if you want to send him love letters. Ohio Democrat candidate for attorney general. Where do we find people like this? It's almost as if we go out of their way to find them. Now, this is where the consequences begin to commence. Am I going to talk about the consequences? No, you know what? Let's take a break.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Listen in to the Reaver of Common Sense, where we cut through the noise of news and politics with a show equipped for bombast. Tune in Mondays and Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, and 6 p.m. Pacific, featuring a refreshing dose of reality. Jersey Joe fearlessly tackles the tough topics with no nonsense. Just pure common sense. Visit shrmedia.com, where you can hear the Reaver of Common Sense in action. He may not always be polite. He may not always be refined. But one thing's for sure. He always tells it like it is.
Are you looking for a way to boldly express your faith and love for your country? And check out 7 Armors, the premier apparel company for patriotic men of God, where faith meets freedom in style. Our t-shirts are more than just clothing, they're statements. Bold, stylish, and meaningful. From timeless messages to modern designs, we've got something for every patriotic man of God. Wear your beliefs proudly with 7 Armors gear. Don't miss the chance to wear your faith and freedom on your sleeve. Visit 7armors.com today and join the movement. That's the number 7armors.com. 7armors.com. Faithful, vigilant, steadfast, passion.
Are you looking for bold, honest conversation about the issues shaping America? Well, let me welcome you to Unleashed 101 with Jeremy Hansen, where we take you beyond the headlines. We dive into politics and culture and struggles of everyday life. It's raw, real, and unfiltered. If you're ready for truth with a punch, pull up a chair and join us. That's right, Unleashed 101, where real talk feels like home. Find us at unleashed101.com, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and more. We look forward to seeing you. Unleashed 101 with Jeremy Hansen.
Freedom. One nation in all of human history was built on that bedrock. Ours. A republic of the people, by the people, and for the people. Self-government requires freedom, just as freedom requires an individual willingness to self-govern. Freedom has made America exceptional. But it can only last as long as you and I seek the good, as expressed by the laws of nature and nature's God. It can only last if you and I choose to act as people of character. Forging character has been the pursuit of Hillsdale College since 1844.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And I'm back. It's the final half hour of the show. Thanks to everyone for being here as long as they could. Greatly appreciated. This is another show where I kind of get to vent. And like some of the people in the chat room were saying, I agonized over this, and I thought, do people really want another Charlie Kirk show? And I had to say to myself, you know what? I can't depend on that. I want another Charlie Kirk show. I need to get this out. I need to vent. I need to try to make some kind of a reconciliation. I need to try to understand for myself what the hell happened to an individual that I didn't know and only began to understand what a good person he was later, after his political assassination. It was no more than that. It was a political assassination. Plus, you know, I asked in the first hour, how did those kids get to the point where they were? So I think Wuhan 19 ended up creating the generation that now rightly asks Gen Z and the other generations that are involved in that, why did you sacrifice all of us, kids, students, the young your children. Lock us up. Keep us out of reach, out of schools, away from each other. No social interactions whatsoever. Keep us from developing socially, from being kids, from being curious, from seeking, from reaching out. You did that. You affirmatively decided to sacrifice us, who were the very least at risk, for the elderly, who are obviously most at risk. That's me. And I wasn't going to lock myself out of that. Yet people did. You screwed over your kids. So you affirmatively, you Democrats, leftists, you made the clear choice and affirmative decision to sacrifice your future for your past. See, and those truths are out now. That's one of any number of doors that you've opened, and you can't shut that shit now. That Pandora's box was opened. That lid is up. All sorts of things are flying out. And then you assassinate in front of the kids, in front of us, the generation, the mind that was at least attempting to lead us out of all of this insanity, this Democrat and leftist insanity, this darkness. And so I posit the results are coming. Let the consequences commence. It's an awakening. Speaking of awakening, here's this. I think this person got an awakening. Apparently, this has no sound, which is okay. Because this guy got thumped with immediate consequences by attempting to vandalize a Charlie Kirk memorial. BZ, you shouldn't be saying this. You shouldn't be saying this. More of that. Consequences. That is the one thing that this country does not have and needs to have almost immediately. If people are like dogs. If you don't make them understand why there are consequences and punishment for doing what they just did, 5 seconds later, they're going to forget and they won't care. Consequences must be immediately. Consequences and punishment delayed are consequences and punishment denied. One of the major reasons that our society is crashing. Here's another reason. A poll. Now, let me go back. This was April 8th of this year. Assassination culture. Poll shows about half of liberals believe killing Trump or Musk. Well, hell, that's justified, isn't it? Well, it doesn't stop there. Liberals more likely to say political violence sometimes justified. That was just yesterday. A poll that came out September 15th. Today is September 16th. Except on the East Coast where it's tomorrow. Americans largely agree political violence is never justified, but a new poll shows liberals are more likely than conservatives to say violence can be warranted in order to achieve political goals. Now, what did I say earlier in the show that the definition of terrorism was? Go back and listen to that part. You might learn something. Also, let's put this up. This was addressed by Charlie Kirk himself. Back on April 7th. And this is Charlie Kirk writing. Assassination culture is spreading on the left. 48% of liberals say it would be at least somewhat justified to murder Elon Musk. 55% said the same about Donald Trump. In California, always spelled over the K, activists are naming ballot measures after Luigi Mangione. You know, the guy that the leftist judge said, oh, we can't try him for terrorism, and we can't try him for first-degree murder. But as we're discovering, wait, there's more. FBI investigating social media accounts to appear to indicate that there are certain personnel that knew what was going to happen. And apparently that was on some kind of a machine or social entity called Discord, who I've never been to before and obviously never will. But apparently some people did in fact know that this was an oddoid of the first degree.
Were they holding hands?
Yeah, they were. So, yeah, they drove off in his car, the Dodge Challenger.
The time you saw them or this week?
It was about the time I saw them. So
Okay, notice that the journalista is kind of sort of doing her level best to make sure that the information like this kind of doesn't get out. She's going to try to craft things differently.
I would say about 2 weeks ago.
And so they look like they were a couple?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was dressed all in black?
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. And you thought he was weird?
Yeah, I definitely, yeah.
What was weird about him?
Just the way he walked and just the way I've seen him. I've never seen really anybody dressed all in black with a mask on, and I thought that was just quite weird.
For those who've never seen the roommate, describe that person for us.
He did have freckles on his face. For the haircut, he did have, it was a weird haircut. I can't quite, it was kind of a mushroom shaped one.
Okay, let's stop right there because I don't have the time to go into the rest of this. But what we learn is that his roommate was a tranny. And he wanted to transition. And his roommate was. It just gets better. Bonus, his roommate was a furry. Okay, let me see if I can catch up to some of my comments. Still 619 subbies. Yeah, we need to get to 625. Jersey Joe's going away. Good night. PLA has designed this chaos from the Cultural Revolution to the drug fair to the hate. Absolutely. And that's vandalism from the video that I played not long ago. Yeah, quite so. You paraphrased part of Starship Troopers. Robert Heinlein emerges in chat after a citizen stepped in. Then the cops decided to do something. I think that's a comment, a worse comment on the cops than anyone else. You know, give me all, I used to say to not only just my trainees, but the people that I supervised as a sergeant, give me every reason to back you. Don't bluff, don't be stupid, but give me every reason to support the decision that you make and let it be backed and buttressed by law. And if it isn't, if you do something really bad, expect that I'm going to look into it. And if you decide that for whatever reason, you're going to lie or create disfavor with me, I can be your best friend, or I can be your worst fucking enemy, and I will bury you in paper. And I have done it with a grin on my face because there are people that just don't deserve to be in law enforcement. Hey, how about the cop, whoever the hell that was, that watched as the woman burned in a New York City subway car? Well, I might get burned. I can't do anything about that. Another bizarre twist in the sad story. All the over 60 people learning what a furry is. Oh, I knew what a furry was. Listen, I came from child abuse. I learned and heard of shit that would make people, that would gag a maggot and a woodchuck, both simultaneously, if you work child abuse. Not going to regale anybody with tales of that right now. Wouldn't be prudent. That's not the tone or the point of this show. Also, to continue.
I went to school with this Tyler Robinson kid. I'll show y'all. That's him right there. Tyler Robinson. I'm not trying to like clout chase, make this shit about me, but I'm not gonna say I knew this kid really well. I didn't know him very well at all, but I definitely saw him for like 3 straight years in high school. And the best way I could describe him is just like a Reddit kid. I don't know. I feel like if you were in high school around that same time, and even probably now, like 2018, and then like, those kinds of kids, but that's exactly what he was. All I'm going to say is this is the kind of shit that happens when you spend way too much time online and all of a sudden your beliefs are all.
Oh, stop. Wisdom from the mouths of babes. Also, if you notice, wearing a Smith & Wesson t-shirt, thank
the
you.
way this way or all the way this way, and you do some dramatic shit to please these people that are not your friends. This internet shit is seriously no joke.
They are not your friends. Imagine that. And then here comes, now I want to ask you guys this. I got about 13, 14 minutes left, and I think I'm going to go into some overtime. Don't know how much. Let me ask you guys this. What do you believe will be the chance of a conviction on this? Number one, not Mangione, because that is such a fucked up situation involving a fucked up entity and a fucked up leftist anarchist judge. But because it's Utah and they have a firing squad, will we get to the point where the adjudication is guilty? What do you guys think? As I continue. But the suspect, Tyler, confessed in that chat room. Now, will people get this thrown out? Possibly. Is it likely? Well, the cargo door from a 747 could crush my house overnight in about 75 minutes. I don't think it's going to happen, but just tell me what you think. Speaking of, hey, wouldn't this be great? Did anybody else besides me see some of the reprehensible t-shirts and merch that was foisted on a loving public like this? Who wouldn't want a t-shirt or a sweatshirt that says freedom with a bloody bullet hole in the front? Gee, I can't think of anybody that wouldn't want that for their house or wouldn't want to see their child wearing that. This is a good thing and a bad thing. Let me put this up, and she's going to speak in her own words.
Much for tuning into Marketplace today. So I want to talk about something for a minute, and it is heavy, so please bear with me. I want you to know that it's okay if you feel sadness. It's okay if you're grieving. 2 days ago, I lost a mentor, my first boss, the first person who made me believe in myself, that encouraged me to chase this dream that you're watching right now, Charlie Kirk. There's a lot going on in our world right now, in our country, but I want to say one thing. Lean on your neighbors. Speak up for what you believe in. I don't care what it is. I want to share with you one of my favorite sayings that Charlie would always tell us at the office. He would yell it from the mountaintops, so please listen. When conversations stop happening, when individuals become wordless, that's when violence begins. So if you do one thing today, make it be with passion, with conviction. Stand up for your friends. Stand up for your beliefs.
So what do you think happened? Well, as it says up there, effective immediately, I have resigned from WICS ABC 20 after being suspended for airing a nonpartisan tribute to Charlie Kirk that, well, you just saw it and heard it. Many in the mainstream media have been fired or punished for mocking his assassination. I'm the first to be targeted for honoring him on the air. And again, that's where we are in 2025 with the American media maggots. This is an interesting post or an article I'll put up. This is from KLRN's Brad Slager. He's been on the show once before. Great guy, great writer. He writes at Red State, and the article will be up, and you can read it at your leisure. But it illustrates a number of examples of people that were suspended from, oh, look, MSNBC, New York Times, CBS News, ABC News, CNN, Slate, The Atlantic, Rolling Stone, Hollywood Reporter. And the hits just keep on coming. And this. The consequences commence. Why are y'all sad? Teachers, firefighters, officials on leave or have been fired over Charlie Kirk posts. I don't find that sad. I don't find your firing sad. Not in the slightest. Now the consequences commence. I'm going to rip through these. But again, you'll see, if you want to read them in detail, go to the SHR Media Rumble channel and BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, which is what you're listening to and watching right now. As a matter of fact, update: Chesterfield school board member resigns after uproar over social media post. He's going to resign on December 31st after criticism of a social media post she made about the killing of Charlie Kirk. Call me old-fashioned, but I remember when it used to be okay with shooting Nazis. The loving educators. This one. Oh my God, this was grand. If only I thought of this myself. This is Farmhouse. Look, somebody from a vet hospital, the business name is the Gentle Care Animal Hospital, and the owner made a disgusting post about Charlie Kirk, and then someone managed to, I couldn't do that, I don't have the facility to do that, but went in and changed it to the hospital has now been renamed the Charlie Kirk Memorial Animal Hospital. Okay. That's one of those things where in the digital world, it's like, that is supreme. Here's something also fun, grand fun, like the Grand Fun Railroad. Washington Post columnist fired after social media posts regarding Charlie Kirk's assassination. And the hits just keep on coming. Look, Phoenix sports writer Gerald Bourget fired for his comments about Charlie Kirk. All these firings are proving that the woke movement of hatred will no longer be tolerated in America. How do you feel? And the answer is, I feel great. So hoisted on a petard of their own creation, these people thought that they were absolutely immune from anything happening to them. And the great thing about it is they are no longer the gatekeepers. And as was said earlier, we don't care what you say. We don't care how you label us. I certainly don't. Oh, look, he's right. They are in orbit right now. The Kettle One refueling team is entering the operational area. Here's something very interesting. Speaking of, that was perfect timing. Do you think maybe I put that up because of what's coming next? Well, that might be, yes. And what is it, PZ? What do you sniff, boy? The military. I sniff the military. Active duty United States Air Force KC-46. The KC-46, oddly enough, is the upgraded refueler for the KC-135. Imagine that. Imagine that. Active duty KC-46 pilot Christian Miranda is an open communist and anti-American. He routinely posted his support for communism and other extremist views from his X account. He poses a grave threat to our security. But wait. You know, if it's BZ, that shit doesn't stop right there, does it? Here's another one. Here's a guy, Grant Walker from the United States Air Force. Grant thinks Charlie's assassination was a huge problem, but it was solved permanently, and disagreed with the characterization that the shooting was horrific. The person up above, Derek Van Orden, the source of this, said, if he's in the Air Force security forces, the Blue Berets. He has a top secret security clearance, and he's enrolled in a personal reliability program, PRP. That means he's responsible for the nuclear weapons. Well, that's someone you want in charge of the nukes, don't you? Like that crazy bald-ass tranny thief who was in charge of nucleonics in the Biden regime with the mustache and the bald head, who would go into luggage and steal women's clothing because everybody knows that's normal. And then this is normal too. This is the consequences commencing. Look, everybody needs a t-shirt like that. And that from a dispatcher in communications for the Metro Nashville Department of Emergency Communications. Good to know that these people have your security in mind and they're watching over you all the time. Isn't that wondrous and wonderful? Then there's a FEMA section chief who said, well, you know, Charlie Kirk kind of deserved it, right?
Have you spoken to anybody about the great Charlie Kirk assassination? It's also like, it's tough not to laugh at this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, he's a lunatic and like awful and kind of deserves it in his own way.
So how does FEMA feel about Charlie Kirk getting shot?
Everybody's kind of laughing. I don't know.
Everybody's kind of laughing. Everybody's kind of laughing about Charlie Kirk. Because who wouldn't? I mean, that's such hilarious. That last Wednesday was a phrase ripped from Beezy's book, and hilarity will ensue. Well, some people actually lost their jobs.
So y'all got me fired from my job.
You're fired. Get out. You're fired.
So I lost my job.
You're fired. Get out. You're fired.
Fired from my fucking job. I was just fired from my job. I was just fired from my job. I was just fired from my fucking job.
You're fired. Get out. You're fired.
So I was just fired from my job.
You're fired. Get out. You're fired.
Does anyone see a running thread through some of this stuff? Continue.
You're fired. Get out. You're fired.
Another one bites the dust.
A lot of these people, have you noticed, happen to be in medicine and education. All these vile fucks.
Installation of Democrats in progress.
You're fired. Get out. You're fired.
Meet Haley Curdell, a 911 dispatcher from Nashville, Tennessee.
You're fired. Get out. You're fired.
Fired, gone. Let the consequences commence. And so, you know, you have to realize that, wait a minute, wait. Whiskey Dell says, oofta. Okay. Then there was this. New Jersey doctor resigns after a nurse said he cheered Charlie Kirk's death. And so what did she do? She filed a complaint. And she keeps her job after the hospital investigates the doctor. You know, that's a happy story. I didn't have happy stories tonight per se, but it is a happy story. Let me see if I can get through this. What do I have? It's 10 o'clock right now, which means it's 10 o'clock Pacific, and it is midnight Central and 1 a.m. on the East Coast. I have time for a few more of these. Everybody said, Charlie, he hated trannies. Well, really? Let's see. Let's watch.
I just want to say I'm a transgender male. What age should kids be able to get things like hormone therapy? Because I don't know what's true, what's not.
Tell me, are you comfortable telling me your story?
I've known that since like third grade, and I'm currently 19, almost 20.
There were some people that I saw on the internet that said, with every interaction with trannies, because I don't give a fuck about this stuff. I'm not Charlie Kirk, nor do I profess to be. Oh, he treated them with every interaction. He said, "Oh, go kill yourself." What a load of crap.
I've known basically since then. I didn't start going by like a different name until 7th and 8th grade. I just don't know, like with the whole medical stuff, like what's
medical stuff. Imagine that.
It's true, what's not, what's helpful, because I've heard so many different opinions.
First of all, thank you so much for that.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm going to have
the heinous, terrible Charlie Kirk for saying thank you for that. How oppressive, how mean, how evil. But let's hear Charlie talk for one semi-last time.
Yes, I wonder if by continuing to lie, they aren't about everything. They're driving all of us a little crazy.
Well, this is why your faith is the most important thing. Because for those of us that are Christians, it doesn't drive you crazy. You actually see what's going on, which is that we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities and darkness and spirits, that there's a spiritual war here. And you're right, Tucker. I find people in this space that are not anchored to faith, anchored to Jesus, they do lose their mind. Because there is no rational or reasonable explanation for what the country is doing to itself or what we are experiencing. But if you then see and you know that there is a God and we are not him, that there is an entire dimension of angels and demons and spirits that are constantly struggling around us, and that there is a supernatural dimension, as you mentioned, all of a sudden, that does then make sense.
Stop. Let me see if I can summarize. Good versus evil. And I have a few more that I would like to play. Now, this is a poem by a gentleman named Tarzana Joe. And you can't see it at the bottom, but he was on the Hugh Hewitt show. And on Fridays, he would come on and read a poem because Tarzana Joe does poems. And so here's his poem. I hope I can get through it. This will be the 6th time I've read this poem so that I can complete it for you tonight. And it's called Charlie. A man is measured by his friends, so make as many as you can. Then when your span of living ends, they'll tell the world, oh, what a man. I've seen the people on TV, educated, warm, and wise, carefully recite the deeds of people that they eulogize. But with the passing of a man so tragic in this shattered week, the friends who knew him best of all could barely find the strength to speak. Part of them was lost, I'm sure, to lose a man they want to bless. Will their souls recover? No, for no man is an island. Yes. You didn't have to know him well. A simple glance and you'd have learned he loved this country with his heart, and in that heart a fire burned. Author, speaker, man of God, husband, father, fighter, friend, to him to whom you pledged your life, may these words your soul commend. I know for some that thoughts and prayers are sources of frustration, but we're not praying for a man. We're praying for a nation. Let me also play this and one final video after this. I found this last week. I played it last week. I've never seen this anywhere else, and I've given it to some other people. And if this wasn't prescient, ironic.
But what would you actually want to tell me if I have 30 seconds left to live?
Well, you got 30 seconds. In 30 seconds, you're about to meet eternal judgment. And there's only one way that you can get bailed out of that. And it's not all the good things you did or the moral scorecard. It's whether or not you have Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. And that's the only thing that's going to matter. And so you got 10 seconds left. You're dying from a gunshot wound. And you ask the question, who is Jesus Christ? And the answer to that singular question, who is Jesus Christ, is the most important question for everyone in the audience.
Not how much money you have, not how much good stuff you do. It is, who is Jesus Christ? You might say, oh, Jesus was, a teller of good tales, or Jesus was a good person, or Jesus was a historical figure. None of that's going to cut it. It's whether or not you repent and you ask Christ to come in as your Lord and Savior. That's the only thing that will save you from eternal damnation. 30 seconds.
I haven't seen that anyplace else. It's probably been played any number of times on any number of places, and I haven't seen this. This is AI generated. What would Charlie Kirk say to us about his death?
First, I want you to know I'm fine, not because my body is fine, but because my soul is secure in Christ. Death is not the end. It's a promotion. Don't waste 1 second mourning me. I knew the risks of standing up in this cultural moment, and I'd do it all over again. Second, do not let this violence divide us further. The enemy wants chaos, fear, and retaliation. Don't give it to them. Instead, double down on truth. Double down on courage. Double down on your faith and on your families. That is how you honor me. Third, remember this. America is worth it. Free speech is worth it. Fighting for the unborn, for families, for sanity in a culture gone mad, it is all worth it. So dry your tears, pick up your cross, and get back in the fight. Do it with joy, do it with strength, and never ever let evil think it won.
And that, folks, is the show.
I want you to know I'm fine.
I won't be able to do the ending, so I'm just going to do this for right now. I'm just going to sign off. Thanks to everybody for being here tonight. I had to get it out. Tomorrow's Wednesday. Sackhead Sean will be here at Edgy Liberty, 8 p.m. Pacific. And so tune in tomorrow night for Sackhead Sean, everybody. Good night.